Alright, so I want to do a video here talking about feminism. Now, a lot of articles have come out, a lot of shit has come out in the past few days about feminism that I want to talk about. I'm going to make a separate video on a barbershop owner being fined $750 for refusing to serve a woman when that's their policy. But I'm going to go over some articles I've seen in the last few weeks, few days, and also over the past, even going back to months ago. So let's just get into it here. I want to start off with a story here about a person who wrote a blog identifying as a feminist, by the way. She says, "My journey has taken me to many different places fighting for women's rights and carrying the banner of the feminist movement." And she titles her story, "I aborted a boy I aborted my baby because he was a boy." So, clearly a sexist thing to say there. And this is what many of the feminists are about, aborting a baby because it's a boy. Very sexist thing to say there. I see people, who are calling, air conditioning sex. The Huffington Post comes out and calls air conditioning sexist because women don't wear as much clothing, so it makes them colder. But this girl is saying this shit, but yet nobody will talk about this. Alright. Next one I want to talk about, this happened a few days ago. So Julie Bindel is a feminist who writes for the Guardian newspaper. And this is her quote right here. This is what she said a few days ago. She says, I would actually put them all in some kind of camp where they can all drive around in quad bikes or bicycles or white vans." And she's talking about men. "I would give them a choice of vehicles to drive around with, give them no porn. They wouldn't be able to fight. We would have wardens, of course. Women who want to see their sons or male loved ones would be able to go and visit or take them out like a library book and then bring them back." Then she talks about heterosexuality. She says, "I hope heterosexuality doesn't survive, actually. I would like to see a truce on heterosexuality. I would like an amnesty on heterosexuality until we have sorted ourselves out, because under patriarchy, it's shit." So she's basically calling for the end of the world, because without sex, the world is over. Without heterosex, the world is over, because nobody's going to be born. So she's just a fucking, she's calling for men to be put in concentration camps. Do you see how ridiculous this is? Calling for the infringement of men's rights. See, they're calling for, they say all this ridiculous shit like air conditioning is sexist. Yet, they say put men in concentration camps. Am I missing something here? Oh, and this is great. This guy writes for the New York Magazine, and I read most of the article here. He talks an open marriage. He says, "What open marriage taught one man about feminism?" And he talks about how great it is that his wife sleeps with other men and has sex with other men. And he's like, "Oh, it's so great." He's like, "It's the best thing ever." It's just so ridiculous. And then he goes on at the end of the article to say how jealous he is at times, and how he worries about his wife going, and he's like, "Oh, you gotta trust," and he's talking about trust. But then he says at the end of the article, "Oh, well, so I worry about my wife falling in love with another man." This guy is ridiculous. He's talking about how great this is. And they have 2 kids too. You don't think that's going to affect them? That you're having a fucking, open affair. This is just ridiculous. And he's bragging about how great it is. And then he goes on. Oh yeah, and he's talking about, I'm a feminist. He's talking about in the article how he's a feminist. And then he also goes on here. I want to read this part of it. He says, "She didn't present it as an issue of feminism to me, but after much soul-searching about why the idea of my wife having sex with other men bothered me, I came to a few conclusions. Monogamy meant I controlled her sexual expression, and not to get all women's studies major about it, Patriarchal oppression essentially boils down to a man's fear that a woman with sexual agency is a woman he can't control. Oh yeah, you know, when you get married, or when you're in a relationship, you know, it's kind of universal. It's kind of widely known that you both accept and you promise that you won't go cheating with another fucking man or woman, or, you know, whoever now, because you got the whole transsexual bullshit and LGBT, you know, they're adding new letters all the time, you know, but you kind of make a promise there, you know, and that's wrong to you know, tell your significant other, whether that be a girlfriend or a wife or boyfriend, whatever, to tell her not to go sleep with other people, or him to sleep with other people. That's bad. Are you kidding me? See, this is the bullshit I'm talking about here. These feminists are coming out and just demonizing family values and typical things, you know, that are part of a family. Oh, it's bad if you are, you know, if you don't want your wife to sleep with other people. That's sexist. That's patriarchal oppression. No, that's called fucking morals. That's called values. You know, aren't I enough? You know, if I'm not enough, you know, if I have a girlfriend or a wife and that girlfriend wants to go sleep with other men, then that's bullshit. You know, if I'm not enough to, you know, please you, then get the fuck out. You know, that's so stupid. You know, don't go fucking sleeping with other men. You know, ain't I enough to please you? You know, if you don't like me, then, you know, just break up with me. Don't fucking lie and cheat. You know, be honest. But he calls it patriarchal oppression. All right, now this one was a feminist lawyer. So if you read it here, this guy sends a message to her on LinkedIn and says, you know, he says, Charlotte, delighted to connect. I appreciate that this is probably horrendously politically incorrect, but that is a stunning picture. You definitely win the prize for best LinkedIn picture I have ever seen. Always interest to understand people's skills and how we might work together, Alex. So then she responds, and then, you know, he's probably, you know, that's probably kind of a stupid message, because I think they're, you know, supposed to be talking about business. So when he says that, you know, probably not the most pleasing or best thing to say, but her response is even more ridiculous. She says, I find your message offensive. I am on LinkedIn for business purposes, not to be approached about my physical appearance or to be objectified by sexist men. The erotica, I can't even fucking pronounce this word, eroticization of women's physical appearance is a way of exercising power over women. It silences women's professional attributes as their physical appearance becomes a subject. Unacceptable and misogynic behaviors. Think twice before sending another woman half your age such a sexist message. Charlotte. You know, again, as I say, this man is probably, you know, a little bit out of line sending this message. But to say that this man is sexist for saying that is ridiculous. How is he sexist? How is he discriminating against women? If anything, he's telling her how good looking she is. You know, it's not fucking, doesn't make any fucking sense. And then the last one I want to get to. Oh, the Daily Beast here talked about a study about how no blacks, you know, like if I'm a fucking, you know, I'm a white person, so if I say, you know, oh, I'm not as attracted to black people, or if I don't want to have sex with black people, they say, this is the title of the article, no blacks is not a sexual preference, it's racism. So basically, the Daily Beast is coming out and saying, you know, or supporting the view that it's actually racist to not want to, you know, have sex with black people, or if you prefer to have sex with white people more. You see, you know, white people, you know, it's common knowledge. White people are more attracted to white people. Black people are more attracted to black people. That's why you see, you know, you don't usually see a black and white couple together. You usually see black and blacks and whites and whites. That's just how it works. You know, we're all in our little groups, you know, a lot of times here. All right? You know, so it's ridiculous to say, oh, you know, no blacks is racism. No, it's just in my opinion. You know, everybody has certain attractions. You know, am I racist? Am I racist or sexist or whatever the fuck you want to call it against fat people because I am more attracted, and I really am. I'm more attracted to skinny people, people who are actually in shape, than a fat person. Does that make me, discriminatory against fat people? You know? I prefer people with blonde hair. It's not a big deal to me, but that's just how I am. Does that make me discriminatory against other people with not blonde hair? No, it's just everybody has their fucking preferences about what makes a woman or man cute or good looking or who they're attracted to. It's just how the world works. And it's just ridiculous to say, oh, you're discriminatory or whatever. I mean, every fucking person, looks at a person and judges, oh, they're cute, oh, they're ugly, oh, they're average, oh, they're hot, whatever. That's how men work, that's how women work. I mean, women obsess over men a lot. Men obsess over women a lot. I see it all the fucking time. So it's ridiculous to come out and say sexual preferences are racist or sexist. Everything is racist or sexist now. Air conditioning, brown bags, everything. It's just sexist. This bottle of iced tea is sexist because it looks, it's black. So that's racist against black people. These pages are fucking racist against white people because they're white, and the text is racist against black people because it's black. Just every fucking thing in the world is racist or sexist according to the fucking communist liberals. So there you go, people. There's my video there exposing how horrible modern feminism really is. So there you go, people.